I'm going to take you through the full process. So first of all, let's discuss connecting to the Planck system. There's been a couple of reported issues, but there's easily to get around. At the moment, due to this day and age, cell phones or smart devices are far too smart. If you connect to a Wi-Fi connection that doesn't have internet itself, it will try and get to the internet any way, shape, or form. So what happens is if you do not disable your LTE, when you connect to the Planix on the Wi-Fi connection, there's a good chance that your browser will divert you from Planix because there's no internet connection and take you through your LTE connection. Now, entering 192.168.5.1 on the internet will take you nowhere. It has to be local. So the best way to solve this issue is to enable airplane mode on your phone and then turn Wi-Fi back on. And this applies for any tablets that have got a SIM card and an active LTE connection too. Once you've done that, you should have no problems at all when connecting to the Planix. And then just turn that off afterwards. Maybe it's handy anyway. You don't want any phone calls in the middle of a shoot distracting you and taking your time up. So that is number one. After that, you'll be onto this page here. So let's just start this afresh. So once you get onto this page, you'll start on the survey screen. Once on this screen here, you can check your settings, make sure the auto align HDR are on. This is the best way to do it. Change your units to inch or centimeters, whichever you prefer. Everything else can generally stay the same unless you need to change your region here from Canada to US, any of these countries here. And that's specifically for the 5 gigahertz. These settings you can worry about later. If you have a Planix core system, I would definitely recommend doing the Align 360 camera. That's right here. So we click start on here. This is going to take a pano. This bright line here on this side, and if you look this side, it's here, is the two sides. It's the center of the system of the lenses. It's that bit in the middle that is blended together from both images. So what you want to do at this point is, as you can see, I'm rotating the top and the bottom's rotating. You want to zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, and get that line in the corner as much as possible. On the bottom here, you can move this independently, zoom in, and line this up with corner. So that's perfect right there, and then click save. So that really does matter if you've got the Planix core. If you want, you can check that yourself once you've put the theta on. So once you've checked all that, all the settings are good. Let's turn these back on. Doesn't matter for this little emulator that I've got here, but we'll do it anyway. And we'll go to project. To start the project, we'll enter a project name. And today we're just going to do, if I can type, that would help. Planix training. We're going to enter a wall thickness. Let's just do 24 centimeters. Why not? And create the project. Floor name is next. So after that, you'll get a selection box, or you can enter something all on your own. You can choose what you want to call it. This is better for commercial spaces, maybe, if you want to name it, but for general house, you can just start with main floor, first floor. And that's what we're going to do today. You can do main floor and hit create. Now you'll see this page. This green line here is your live data. So once you get onto the system, this is what your LiDAR is seeing. Once you've taken one pano, this will disappear. So let's go ahead and take a panorama. And there's your first one. So as you can see, that's captured that green line in a still image and it's turned blue. If we go to here and you want to know exactly what your laser is seeing, you can go to the settings and enable always show LiDAR scan. Now this can be a bit confusing, so we don't recommend it for when you're starting out. But a lot of people like to see that. If you find it useful, go ahead and turn it on. Let's go back to the project, the floor, main floor. We're back to here. You can just click on survey at the top here. So we're going to take image number 2. And the important thing about these images, so I'll show you image 2 and 3. Image 2 here has got line of sight of image 1. So you can see exactly where image 1 was on this. So, excuse me. The important thing is if we go to a line here, this data you can see fits on top like a jigsaw. So it aligns right there. Now on this emulator that I'm using here, it doesn't align automatically, but you can hit snap in the bottom right-hand corner, and this will snap this to the data and align it very, very well. So I'm just going to do this manually for now and align that there and click save. We can select this one, move around. As you can see again, we're just going to zoom out a little bit and hit align so we can move this. You can see this overlapping data. It's like a jigsaw piece. So you know it's going to slide in place exactly here. That's where it goes. And on here, again, you can click snap. It doesn't work for me in this. But you can click snap on there and it'll align something like that. Pretty much almost perfect. But it will be perfect if you use the snap button. So we'll go ahead and click cancel there because it was probably better before. And we're going to continue taking a few panoramas here. So as you can see, the person who did this eye guide went in a logical order across here. We're going to change the view so we can see the data only. Let's make this bigger. Hell, we'll go full screen. Why not? So this here is the data so far. And this person's gone from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they followed like a little Z here in a logical order. And as you can see, each of these panos has a visual on the last place you took a pano. Now, if you can see more than the previous location, that's even better. It will auto snap. It'll have more points of reference to hit it from. So if you're doing this correctly and you're doing a nice little flow like so, you shouldn't have any issues with the alignment of data. It should be pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And then you can just continue on throughout the floor. So we're just going to do a couple more here. And there's a good example on this screen already. This one here obviously hasn't auto-aligned properly. For whatever reason, typically this won't happen, but this gives me a good, basically this is really good for me to show you how to fix it. Again, we click on align. And then we can move this around and line that up. Like so, that'll do. Again, you guys can click snap icon on this and then hit save. As you can see now in the live data view, that's all good. That is the saved position. That's where it will be when you open it in Stitch later on. I'm just going to finish off these. And I think that's the end of the emulator on this section. So I'm just going to quickly go through. This is a good amount of panos for this floor. Now, obviously, at the end here, there's a few bits missing, but this gives me the chance to show you guys what to look for. If we go to the dual view, If we look at this panel, we can see, wow, that looks really weird widescreen. Let's pull it down a little bit like this, a bit more square. You can see over there that there is another room, and the data actually shows you this. You see how there's a big missing space over here? You want to make sure that it's all filled in. So that's going to be a problem. What you need to do is make sure that the outside of the house is as filled in as possible. I can't speak today. It is as filled in as possible. So all the way around here on the outsides, what you're looking for is a nice solid line like this, all along the edges. Now, again, when you hit mirrors, that makes a little bit of a weird look on here, but don't worry about it. Our drafting team knows what that is. We're used to seeing data like this. So don't worry about it, basically. But what you're looking for is this nice solid line all the way around the outside. And you'll know that the data is filled in. When you see this over here, we know that there's some plants and there's some blinds over here with a window. So there's probably a very good chance that the laser data is hitting a couple of these things at different distances and causing a lot of this like dotted effect. As you can see, each one of these has its own little, it has a bunch of data here that is looking a bit strange. Don't worry about that. Our drafting team knows how to deal with this kind of thing. As you can see, this person collected enough data along the wall that we can see, hey, it looks like it goes straight across there, and there's a bit of a bay window. And sometimes here it looks that, oh, yeah, it's hitting there, and here is hitting actually the struts of the window. So our drafting team is very practiced and they can draft this in correctly. There's not something you need to worry about. You can get closer than this. Maybe getting in behind the sofa would have been good. Because it's so slim, the Planix, you could probably get in there. That may have been an extra bit helpful, but that's okay. Excuse me. On the note of taking too much data, there is never too much. As you can see in this section, there's a lot of panels. Maybe you don't need all of these in your tour, but it's great for data and for visual collection. So we can see all the corners, all the nooks and crannies of the place. And then if you don't like this panel, when you come to upload it to your iGuide, or before you even upload it in Stitch, you can disable it. So just because you've taken it doesn't mean it has to be shown. So that's all customizable. All right. I will move on to adding a floor. So once this floor is complete, obviously this one is incomplete. I told you I can't speak today. We can go to floor, click floor name, first floor, click create. Again, you can name that whatever you like, and it's going to create another floor. So for me, it's just going to reuse the same data because it's a simulator. We can go back to the project, click on Planix training, and then again, you can see main floor, first floor, above grade. If you wanted to add a basement, click on basement. Before you click create, click on below grade, put a check in that box, click create. And when we go back to project again, you can see main floor, first floor, basement. And it's below grade. So that will follow through into the iGuide. Those settings follow everything into Stitch. And this is your basic flow for your iGuide. One last thing to check, if you wish. Let's go back to the main floor where I've completed all the scans. If you like this to check everything, you can go to settings, and at the end, you can increase this coverage opacity or leave it like this permanently. This coverage opacity is a real good visual to see what you've done. As you can see now, I have increased this fill in the middle of the data. So just to explain this a little bit, if I take one of these and move it out, it becomes a little bit less filled in. This is just a good visualization of all the space that you've been capturing. So I do cancel. I'm going to go to this one and click on a line. I'm going to move it out. This data is overlapping here. It's going to make this less transparent. And you can see exactly, quite easily, where you might have missing spaces. So anywhere that it's black, it's potentially a missing space if there's not a lot of dots along the wall. So you can see here, this is quite nice. There's loads of dots along the wall. This is your laser. This is the point the laser's hitting. Again, there's that strange mirror and windows. And this black line here is a wall. So you're never going to collect that data, and that will be used to fill in that wall space right there. This middle section is quite the enigma, but we know that this is the staircase coming up. And this black data in the middle is probably, there's a good chance that there's a closet under here, which has not been documented on the simulator. And then this will be drawn in as walls and potentially, well, if the kitchen goes back to here, you can see this is actually, we look at this one, this is a fridge and some cupboards. So this wall goes all the way back here. And this black space is actually filled in as part of the kitchen. So we do use logic as well. We'll follow the walls and there'll be an intersection. If you haven't got a premium iGuide, this space won't be missed. So don't worry about it. The drafters are very practiced in knowing what they're looking at. Here would be difficult. This section here that I'm showing on screen now, because there isn't a panorama here. So this would be a missing space and you'd need to fill this in. I suggest you check all this before you leave the house. If you're new, if you practiced at it, you'll probably get used to things. And even if you're new, you'll start recognizing all this data and what you're looking at relatively quickly as you do it. So that's just your final check in Survey. Once you've finished in Survey, basically you're going to want to shut down the system, take your USB drive, and load up Stitch. So once you've put your USB drive into your computer, we do recommend, and I stress this, to move the data off your USB drive and copy it to a safe place on your computer. Whether that's an external hard drive that you're using for backup, that would be perfect. That's okay, but do that afterwards. Put it on your local drive and then move it. So for myself, I'm just going to pull up a Planix data here from when I was testing. And this is what you'll see when you open the data. Let me just redo that again, sorry, because I wanted to explain something and I forgot. So on the top left-hand corner, you click the little house to load the project, or you can press Q on your keyboard. When you've browsed to the location here that you stored your data in, you don't need to double click. If you double click, there'll be a problem. It won't know what to open. Go back up a level, click on the folder itself. This will be the name of your project. This is my house when it was empty. So we're going to click on that one and click select. And it's going to load all the data. So it's just a folder structure that loads. It'll be good to go. So this is what your data should look like, something similar to this once you get it into Survey. I mean, once you get it into Stitch. You can check the fill again here. As you can see, this is really good because there are some missing spaces. This section here is a closet, but this isn't enough data really. Ideally, there should be another panorama in the closet to give us the width as well as the depth. So inside the closet would have been great for an extra shot. And again here, there's these big black spaces where there's voids. That is because there's a closet here. And actually there's a closet down here. So you need to document these closets so that we know what it is and where the walls are in the closet. It's less important, but still important for exterior walls. Sorry, for interior walls. Most important is an exterior one, is what I meant to say, because we can't judge where it could be. Here we can draw a wall in and say potentially here straight across based off the data. This looks logical to bring it straight across here. There's a wall there, obviously, so bring it down there. Obviously, this is a part of a wall, so bring it here. So this is a small closet. There's a closet here. Just from process of elimination, we can kind of estimate exactly where an internal cupboard is, but it is much better to document it yourself. The drafting team may be like, well, this could be any number of depths. And unfortunately, you might not get that added in if it's too much of a space that can't be added. This would be too much. There's too much data missing here, probably. So get those filled in. And you can see that from this. Again, here, there's a bit of a missing space, but it's clear that this is behind a door right here. It's hitting this part of the wall. And so the drafting team know this wall is probably the same thickness across here. Behind doors isn't too much of a problem. So this is what you're looking at when the completed house is done. Something similar to this. Now, there are a couple of things you have to do once you've opened the property. The first thing to do is really, you can check your survey like this and make sure it's all good before you upload it. Gives you time to go back in case you've missed a space. But the first thing to do is check the alignment. Now, it's pretty simple. If you haven't turned auto align on and you've made a mess of things somehow, that's okay. On the top of the bar here, there's an arrange all scan, like a little wand with some stars coming off it. Let me show you what this is going to do. We're going to click arrange all scans, and it's going to one by one ask you or say yes to all. Is this the right location? Is this the right location? Etc. We're just going to keep saying yes here and see how it does all on its own. So this is wrong, as you can see. So this is where it's got confused. It's going to try again. And I'm not going to make it suffer. So I know where that goes, so I'm going to put it in place. And to put it in place, I'm going to hit 3 once it's selected to snap it in. You can hover over a panorama, press spacebar to select it, right click to spin, left click to drag, and it doesn't matter. This is close enough. Press 3 and it'll snap it for you. So 3 is this little one at the top here. So that's fine-tuned selected scans. That's a great one to know how to use. And then there we go, it's put it back to how it was. I'm just going to undo everything because I know that it was right in the first place. So this is great. You've got everything aligned. It's all good to go. Make sure you've checked all this and move things around if you need to before you move on to the next floor. We can move on to the next floor and check everything. Yep, that looks fine. And then you can go on to your next task. The next task is setting your initial pano. That is the first panorama you want people to see when they load up the iGuide. So at the top here, we can right click and do set as initial pano. I'm just going to select the foyer. Might not be the prettiest place, but for me, that's the starting point when you're walking to a home, and that's how I would like to do my iGuides. A lot of people like to do the living room, especially if it's a really pretty living room, you know. And it's up to you, entirely up to how you want to portray this place. So once you set the initial pano, you can go ahead if you wish per scan. You don't have to do this immediately. This is something you can also do on the portal later. And at the top, we've got what looks like a pie with a chunk taken out. And this is the initial pano angle. So this is where you set exactly what you want to look at when you come in. So on this one, it's orange because this is the initial pano. This is what people are going to see when they first load up the iGuide. This orange space, this white bar is setting it. It's just your view of setting it. So when I open the iGuide, this square is what's going to be shown on screen first, this section. Moving on, the same can be done for every single panel. You can change it and set it. And I like to do a bit of a path so people can easily flow through. Apparently I didn't do it in that order. So let's set it to there, into the kitchen, looking at the kitchen. Again, looking around the kitchen, we can have maybe the sink area. And we've gone back down here into the bathroom. But then you can just set it up how you like. And you can keep doing this all the way through. I'm not going to bore you and keep doing it, but it doesn't take too long. You can just decide on your preferred view and set that all the way through. You can do it for the same for the second floor. And that's all good. When we go onto the second floor, you can't set an initial panel for the second floor. But what you can do is typically it will go in the order from top to bottom here on the left-hand side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you're playing the autoplay, it'll start off at 1. And there's a good chance actually that the stairgate will end up here on screen. So the stairgate actually links up with the closest panel to it. So this one will be selected when you go to the next floor, either using the stairgate or by using the level selector. On this floor, you can do the same, set all your angles, and then you move on to the next task. Now, you don't have to do all this now, but you can if you wish, and you've got the time. If you just want to get it uploaded, the main things to do is check the alignment, set the initial panel, and then also make sure that your above grade is set correctly and that your exterior wall thickness is set correctly. And then if you want to leave any notes for the drafting team, if you just click on the title of the project at the top here, just say, hey, drafting team, can you please, I don't know, exclude the basement utility room or something like that. Whatever you want to say, pass instructions on. They will use this. They check these as soon as they start the iGuide. You can use this to pass on information. Now, the next bit would be to, again, you don't have to do this right now, but you can check your photospheres. There's a wizard hat at the top where you can take a look and make sure that everything looks exactly how you want it to look. So for this one, you can change this to auto. So say, for example, the theta had stitched it a bit weird. You're like, there's something looks a bit weird here on these corners. If you hit auto, it's going to try and flatten them out for you. So you can do a bunch of things here. You can really warp stuff and play with people's heads. So you don't want it to look like that, basically. You know as soon as you open this, there's something wrong, hit auto, and it's going to fix that for you. I've really messed it, so we're going to keep clicking auto until it fixes it. There we go. So that looks fine now. That's better. You can change the temperature, either using the slider for cool or warm, or you can select the section on the screen to set the warmth, like towards the window. Select the light areas. Do not do that. That looks horrific. Or you can slide it yourself. You can do blues, yellows, shadows, highlights, brightness, contrast, saturation, and clarity. You can also click auto for brightness. You can also click auto for levels and auto for gamma. So if you like the look of this image after you've finished, you save it and you can go on to the next one. Or again, you can do this later on. This isn't something you absolutely have to do right now. You can click done. So that's most of it in Stitch. The next thing I wanted to quickly mention to you back onto the notes section here where you leave a comment for the drafting team. If you're on the floor, you can click the pencil and the notepad icon at the top here, and you can leave notes on screen. So you can double click on screen and say, laundry room, office, dining, living, and they will use these tags when creating the iGuide. Some of this might not be so, like obviously here, this would be used as a dining room, but there's no table or anything, so they can't see. You can give them direction by leaving on-screen notes. This is really handy for adding some personalized things, or where there's a room that, most commonly, a room that does not have any borders or any separation that is clear for a living and dining room. You can just like, hey, dining, living, and they'll separate that off as best as they can for you. You can also request that that be changed later on after it's been published. So this is what you can do. Basically, leave plenty of notes, give them some direction. You can also, if we're on this one here, you can also straighten out the floor plan. This little protractor up here, if you just press 4 on your keyboard, will straighten everything out. So if I've taken everything and it looks like that, it's a little bit wonky. You don't need to worry about this typically. As you can see, it's not straight. The drafting team will fix it. But if you want to be really nice, hit that and it'll straighten out for you. Do this before you do the, apparently, yeah, do this before you do the notes. So the next stage would be to export. Export project at the top left here. You can save it if you wish to, then hit export. It's this little world with an arrow on it. I'm just going to stitch your panoramas together and export it to your project folder. And this is when we'll move on to uploading or creating and uploading an iGuide. This will most likely be quicker on your end. Now it is done. If there's any problems, they'll pop up here. You'll see any errors. And this is just a quick summary. Okay, and now we can close down Stitch. I'm just going to open up here a couple of things, so bear with me. So here we have the folder Sam's House Planix. We open this and there's now an export folder in here. Underscore export. It's named like this so it's at the top of your list. You go into this export folder, double click. There's a .tar file here, and this is what you need to upload. Size is 50 meg. You can check when it's modified, make sure it's the right one, and you're good to go. What we need to do next is open up the portal. So here's the portal. This is your sign-in page. Now, if you haven't registered yet and you go to register, at the top here, we've got a message. If you have not created an account yet, go and check your email. Using the email that you purchased the camera with, so the email address that you used when you purchased the system through the store, maybe a different email address that you want to use to log in here. And that's okay, but you're going to need to use that email address first. And you should have had an invite. Go to that operator invite link, click on that, and then join up with that link specifically. Don't go here and create one. Make sure that you've used that link in the email. Otherwise, when you create this account, you won't have access to create an iGuide. you need to use that link that we've sent you. So please check for that. If you can't find it or you don't have one, please open a support ticket and we'll help you out, or give us a call, anything. Just don't sign up. If you're an operator, if you purchased a camera, don't sign up here without using that link. Otherwise you will be stuck for a little bit. You won't be able to upload an iGuide. Excuse me. Just going to quickly sign in. And this is what you should, well, you won't have all these iGuides. So let's do photos only. You'll have like no iGuides here. At the top, as long as you're using an operator account, you'll have the ability to create an iGuide at the top here. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit in case you can't see it. Right at the top, create iGuide. For now, we're just going to go with the standard iGuide. You can go for a premium or photos only, but please read about these. Premiums do cost more. You get a detailed floor plan, VR and advanced measurements. So to learn more about these, click on this link. This is a standard versus premium. There's much more information. So the differences here. Premium basically, in summary, will draw in countertops in kitchens, in bathrooms. It'll have all your appliances like fridges, freezers, dishwashers, washers, dryers. We do not add furniture. So beds, hot tubs, barbecues, things like that. That's kind of class removable. They won't be added. People don't typically expect to see them when they move into a house. It's mostly the things that come with the house when you buy it. So that's generally what is in the premium on the floor plan. It's something that you would get if you purchased a house. Like for my property, I got all the kitchen appliances, the washer, the dryer, and that was it. We don't put curtain fixtures on, so that's far too small to put in. So moving on, we're going to choose our package. We're going to add add-ons here. Google Street View and Floor Planner are free. Click on these to learn a bit more about this. Floor Planner is a 3D like rendered version of the iGuide, so it's pretty cool. Next, we'll go down to enter a property address. So we'll do 301 King Street East, which is our office location. And we're going to make sure that this is all correct. And if you want to, you can click on Auto for Google Maps. Sometimes this will move it a little bit. Sometimes it won't, but it's good to click Auto because it can be a bit more precise. And then we're going to hit Select. Once you've hit Select, you can go into Agent Branding. Now, this is where you can either create a banner or you can select one that you've already made. If you don't want to do this right now and you want to investigate how to do this and set up your banner, that can be done later. So we're going to leave it blank just to show you that. So the mailing list subscribers, this you can add all the banner emails. You can also do this later. People, this is who it's going to be on the iGuide. iGuide manager is you, the operator. Unless you're a sub account, this will be your primary account holder. This will be the iGuide manager. And you can add extra people here. You can add editors. Say your realtor or your client has set up an account on the portal. They can go in, you can go into here and add them as an editor if you want them to have editor access. You just enter that email, and then they can come in here, change labels, do a few other selections, do some customizations. Just make sure that they know what they're doing before you let them do it. Primary contact is something we can talk about later if you're interested. In summary, that's basically if you have a whole office of people working and you want a particular admin to look after basically all the correspondence. So if there's a problem with the iGuide, we would email the primary contact. So this could be a member of staff that's always in the office, not out shooting, so that you know that the response is going to go to them and they're going to be able to respond immediately. And then moving on, we're going to go to upload data. So here you can either upload data to this, which is the stitch data, which we previously got. So we can either drag and drop this like so, or we can click and browse to that location. And then I click open. It's going to appear here. For now, we're going to leave this blank because you can actually create an iGuide without any data on it. I want to show you guys how to do this so you can prepare everything. And then all you have to do later on in the evening is just drop the tar file in. You can also upload gallery images here the same way. You can drag and drop, or you can click and select all the images. Under the advanced options, there's a whole bunch of things here you can do. There's a knowledge base article for these. If you want to learn everything, it's a great place to start. But for now, we're going to minimize that and create the iGuide. Now we're going to get a warning saying no banner has been selected for this iGuide. That's okay, I know what I'm doing. Create iGuide. And the iGuide's created instantly. We're not uploading anything. So that's a very quick process. We're going to go to edit the iGuide. So this is the iGuide I just created. The iGuide's a placeholder for everything in here. Now let's go to the stitch data section on the left. As you can see, I don't have stitch data. I've created this, I've added all my panel images, I've set up the URL, which you can customize up here on the Show iGuide details page. So you can do all this beforehand, and then come in and upload the data. So we're going to do that right now. So depending on your internet speed is how fast the upload will happen. So the upload's done. Our server is going to process it, make sure that everything's good and there's no errors within the file. So it's just doing a quick scan. And there you are. There's your data uploaded at. And as long as this is uploaded before 7 a.m. EST, it'll be done the next day. Even if it's the same day, if it's before 7 a.m. EST, you'll get it same day. So just so you know, but it is better to get it in the night before. In case you get any internet problems or anything and you're rushing and you miss the deadline, that's far too stressful. Just upload it the night before if you can. You don't want to be panicking early in the morning, coffee not been drank, you know? So there we go. I'm going to delete this because I don't want this drafting. So again, you can delete it if you think, oh, damn, I missed something. Go in, fix it, and then re-upload it here. That's not a problem. If you've uploaded an iGuide by accident, uploaded the wrong one, you've got about an hour and a half or so before you can, where you can delete it. Come in here, delete it, re-upload it. It's not a problem. All right, so let's see where we're up to. We're going to go to my test iGuide here, my training one. Oh, yeah, I need to use my other login. Give me 1 second. Thank you very much. So here we are on my training iGuide. So once your iGuide is uploaded and it has been published, and you have something like this ready, you can go ahead and do some edits. As mentioned, you can edit the URL up here. Myself, I put the training iGuide support. This does have to be a unique alias. So you may have to be a little bit inventive. And what you'll moon there, excuse me, 1 second. I just need some water. Let's start that again. Where you'll mainly be working is in the edit section here. So in the edit section, you can move gallery images around. I don't have any in this one. You can set your banner, as I mentioned before. You can create a new banner, you can edit it, you can clear it. You can do all sorts here. You can do plenty of edits. General settings is where you really kind of want to go into the edit details. So this is your edit view. This is the title of your iGuide. You can name this. So this can be at the top of the iGuide page. This will be what it's called. You can name this whatever you like. You've got expiration date, so you can set when this expires. The start options. Do you want to start with the 3D tour, 3D tour minimized floor plan, or the 3D tour autoplay? So there's your start options for this iGuide. Now, because I haven't got a video embedded here, it doesn't start on the video. But if you had that filled in, you could select the video. Moving down here, this is your property description. This will be shown up on the details page. So if I now go to details at the bottom, enter a property descriptions here. So you can add some content in here if you wish. Custom text for PDF. This is added to the PDF when it's printed out. So if you're out in Alberta and you want to make sure that you're compliant, I know that you have to enter a date and everything in here. So you can enter this into the custom text for PDF. You can enter all sorts of details. There is, if you're in Alberta, a knowledge base article on making sure that everything is set up correctly. I would recommend going and looking at that. But basically, this is where you'll spend most of your time. The 3D tour. This is where you can enable floors, disable floors, just by clicking on the pencil here. This is renaming the main building. We click on the main floor, click on the pencil. We can show an iGuide. We can hide the whole floor. We can change the perimeter wall thickness. Should probably be 8 on average in Canada. And then we can save the changes, and that's it done. That will save in here now. So also in here, as I mentioned, disabling panos. You can double click on a pano. It'll be disabled. You'll see a banner on screen. This panorama will not be shown. This won't be visible in the iGuide. Some people like to show the foyer calculations. Typically, not all spaces are shown in the details tab of an iGuide. And so you'll want to come in here. Although the foyer is shown in the iGuide, that is the label, you'll want to add these two here, depending on what you want. Do you want the dimensions and the square footage, or just the dimensions or just the square footage? Pick whatever you'd like, click OK, click Save. And that's just hitting the pencil next to the label. And we go to the details tab now, we can see on the main floor, maybe I need to refresh. Details, main floor, there you go. There's the foyer. It's now added to the list of room measurements. So please do pay attention to the text up here when you're reading through iGuide, or if your clients have any questions. Only major rooms are listed. And remember that the dimensions here don't necessarily equal this. This is the maximum dimensions of the room. So not every room, as you know, is a square or a perfect rectangle. So this will not add up. Our system does the calculations based on floor area, not on this. If you did all this mathematics and added it up and found that it was wrong, it's going to be wrong. Just FYI. So moving away from the iGuide stuff, I'm going to tell you guys how to contact support. If you go on to goiGuide.com, we don't want download, thank you, autofill. We go to contact. This is probably the easiest place for you to remember. iGuide operator support right here. Here's some contact details for us. And if you click on here, this is going to be the support desk. On the support desk, immediately you'll see the knowledge base. And there's a lot of questions and answers in here. Well, answers to questions you may have in here, sorry. So in the portal section, which is what we were just on, there's 52 knowledge base articles. There's 12 regarding the camera and survey app. There's 9 documents regarding Stitch, and floor plans and square footage questions. There's 9. So these are the 4 sections that you really kind of need to look for, but you can also search for a term up here. So we don't have any KBA specifically for Planix, but that's why we have the training materials, technical training at the top. iGuide training, select Planix, and on you go. This is where you need to spend your time going through everything. I'll send that to you guys in the chat. If you missed that on your introductory email, this is an excellent place to start, and it will take you through most of the things that I've gone through today. So this is a really good starting point.